Hey folks, how y'all doing today? It's Thursday, almost the weekend. Hallelujah. I thought I would go ahead and respond to Mr. Hall of Fame's vinyl community thread number one. Um, I love the threads. I love to read them. I mean, not read them, but listen to the responses. I don't always get a chance to respond, but this one I want to respond to. I like the questions. And the first question is, show three of your favorite vinyl labels. And the first one I'll show is my favorite label. Because of the design and also who's on it. Famous Charisma. I love that Alice in Wonderland, the Mad Hatter. And what we have here is Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, the Japanese version, which one side of the label is blank, which I really like that. Um, Famous Charisma was really kind of an eclectic label, kind of catering to Tony Smith's personal tastes at first. And he built up a rather eclectic roster. Genesis, Vandergraaf, Generator, Lindisfarne, just some great stuff. And this is the record I chose to show it from. One of my other favorite labels, I've mentioned several, but the one I decided to show today that really is a longtime favorite since childhood is the Dereck label. And here's my old original copy of the Egg album. It's beat to shit because I've had it since I was like, 13 or 14. I love this label. I would collect it if there weren't so many titles, but it was Decca's way of trying to respond to EMI starting the Harvest label. And so consequently, there is some killer music on the Dereck label. And always trying to pick up Dereck stuff. The third label that I chose to show today that is definitely one of my favorites is the Or label. And this is the label that put out some of the original super fantastic German krautrock like Ashra Temple. And this is Tangerine Dream's first album here. And Guru Guru. And just some of the just most dope stuff. Just truly a spaced label, you know. One of my favorites. I'll show this is my copy of Electronic Meditation by Tangerine Dream. It's an original copy. Mine, unfortunately, is water damaged. The record's okay. But as you can see, the cover is damaged, but it's an original. The next question was, show five LPs from your blues genre. I need to explain that, and this is funny, Jeff and I are such good friends. He loves the blues, and I really avoid the blues. I'm just going to tell you why. I'm not going to tell the whole story, but right quick, I came up in a chaotic home. There were some great things about it. There were some horrible things about it, and one of them was childhood sexual abuse that happened to me. And I'll just speak for myself because it's personal, and a lot of people don't want to talk about it. But for some reason, folks, hearing blues, especially Chicago blues, is a trigger to some pretty unpleasant memories. And so that has damaged my desire to listen to the blues. I personally do not listen to the blues. I do not choose it. I can play the blues and I can learn. I can still learn more from the blues. The blues has a lot to teach me as a musician. But I am not comforted by the blues like most people. I really don't want to hear it, but I'll show you what I have when it comes to blues. I included this one. Here comes Shuggy Otis. It's not specifically a blues album, but there's some bluesy stuff on here. Love his guitar playing, and apparently I was around him as a child, but I didn't know him. But the Otis family, they had Omaha ties. Preston Love, who played with him, I knew Preston's family. So anyway, I like to share those stories. Don Sugarcane Harris. Sugarcane's got the blues. Frankly, the reason why I have this album is because he's backed up by Soft Machine. How about that? Second Winter. Nobody's talked about Johnny Winter, an excellent blues guitar player. Now, I like Johnny's guitar playing so much, like Hendrix. Hendrix and Winter can make me listen to the blues because I'm fascinated by the guitar playing. Now, another good guitar player who I am not fascinated by is that guy from Chicago that everybody always talks about. I can't even think of his name. Buddy Guy, yeah. He doesn't do nothing for me. But Hendrix and Winter, yeah, they'll make me listen to some blues every now and then. The undeniable Bessie Smith, you know. Well, I have to have some Bessie Smith, you know. Just too much respect for the Queen. But do I ever just pop this on because I feel like it? Hell no. Last thing I'll show, John Lee Hooker, Endless Boogie. Again, these are like records that, some records, yeah, you need to have blues in your collection. I got some. Much respect to these people, much respect to the blues. Like I said, I have much more to learn from the blues as a musician, so don't get me wrong. But that's why I like the far out music that I do. It was a comfort. Sunshine Pop and the Beatles in particular were like, that was my solace. That was my sanctuary from some of the really weird, strange musicians that would come around. And some of the folks that I disliked the most were some of the blues musicians. I'm just telling you the truth. Okay, so that goes right into the next question. What genre do you feel hasn't developed enough in your collection? Well, I'm not trying to develop genres in my collection, honestly. I'm just trying to find what I like. So there, I hear folks talking about, core records. I have some of those, but I'm more interested in establishing what I consider core releases, which I'm trying to share with some of you folks. And it is literally the idea, my feeling that there's so much good music that is just as great at those as those core records that everyone is trying to have. That I'm trying to say these ought to be there too. So, but if there was a genre that I feel like I would like to have more of and I'm lacking in, it's because it's so expensive to find, and that is music concrete. Um, um, some of that high end stuff that came out of France, the research for electronic music institute over there. I'd love to have more of those records. They're hard to find and they're very expensive. There you go. Okay, it says to show 5 music DVDs that you like, and dang it, I only grabbed 3, so I'll just show the 3 that I grabbed. Magma, Douze Hamtak, the inventors of Zool music from France. Christian Vander, one of the greatest drummers you never heard of, and I mean that. Meshuggah Alive, the Swedish metal band that I just love so much. And Steps Across the Border, music by Fred Frith, originally of Henry Cow and the Art Bears. This is almost like a documentary about him, but not with a narrative. It's really cool. I only grabbed 3, sorry. 6, how often do you get new records that are warped? I don't know. I just noticed that, yeah, records do come warped, especially when you order through the mail. Unfortunate. Let's see. 7, if you could steal 3 records from the vinyl community, which 3 would you get? And the best way to answer this, because I'm not... I know that Dan from Canada has the limited edition Brian Eno box. I'd like to have that. My friend Jeff has several records I'd like to have. One is Act 1 by Beggar's Opera. He's got an original copy of that. And I know I've seen some other things recently that really tripped me. That Pato that Nathan Morales just bought. I used to have a copy, and like an ass, I sold it. I'd love to get another copy of that. So, keeping it short, those are my answers to that thread. God bless you all.